How's everybody doing out there? It's Miguel here from Singing Tree Flutes. Well, I've had a couple of my YouTube subscribers telling me how they've been missing my Sunday spiritual talks, and I appreciate it. I'm glad that some of you like to listen to, just whatever comes out of my heart, I suppose. Things I've learned along the way, words of hope, potentially inspiration, some different spiritual concepts from different walks of life. So apologize for not having too many of them recently. Just summers are busy, they get crazy. Just recently, 2 days ago, my daughter has gone off to college in Hawaii, and so I will be going on a 2-week trip to help get her settled over there, leaving tomorrow morning. But yeah, summers get crazy busy trying to keep up with business, trying to keep up with family and all of the things in between. So yeah, I just figured I would say a few words because it's been a while, right? And so there's a lot on my mind. I'm thinking of something that my grandpa Max, we call him Mushum. He's a Ojibwe elder from the Turtle Mountain Reservation, and he actually lives pretty close to me here near Portland here. And we're really close. I love this man so much. It's not as common of a thing in, I would say, in the U.S. or in our society anymore to have elders, people that you go to talk with, to learn from, to process with, to have seek counseling through, and just to honor and listen to the wisdom of people that have been here longer than us, right? And I guess I'm starting to be that for people as well. But one of the things that he talks about is how to listen to spirit, how to communicate, let's say, with the spirit world. And in this video, I don't want to get into trying to dive too deep in what that may mean, because people might have different interpretations of that. But let's just say, to listen to spirit. The concept that prayer isn't just asking for something and hoping that it shows up somehow in your life, but we actually take the time to learn to have a relationship. And a lot about, to me, meditation and different ceremonies and different things isn't just to say a prayer as if you're wishing on a star, but to learn to listen. To learn to listen, and we listen through all of our senses, and he talks about these 5 things that we learn to listen to spirit. And so those 5 things are thought, our comprehension, I'll talk about the difference, our intuition, our memory, and our imagination. So again, our thought, our comprehension, our intuition, our memory, and our imagination. Those are the 5 things that help us to hear spirit. And we also talk about, we hear and we hear things through all of our senses, through touch, through smell, through taste. But that I'll leave for another time. So let's talk about that. Say we have a dream. Let's just use that as an example. Say we have a dream. We think about that dream. Wow, that dream, that was a powerful dream. And we have a thought. Sometimes we could be walking down the street and just something pops in to our mind, a thought about maybe a concept, a thought that we have that maybe we didn't know we even knew, and maybe it just kind of showed up, and wow, where'd that come from? This thought. Well, and so then, however that shows up for you, this thought, or like I said, if we had a dream and we use our thought to say, wow, that was a dream. That was a dream. And then we use our comprehension, right? To comprehend that, to interpret what that means for us, to break it down. Okay, what is that thought? What is that? And that might come easier to some than others. You know, some might take months or, you know, a long time to break it down. What does that mean? What does that mean? And we really try to comprehend what it is that showed up to us in a dream, or maybe walking in nature, or wherever that this thing showed up. Bird flying a certain direction, whatever shows up, you know, an animal walking in front of you. And then we try to comprehend what that means, and you know, break it down, piece it out, break it down. Let's go into memory now. I talk about that a lot in the sweat lodges and things like that. Sometimes something comes to me, you know, and I forget about it over time, and I have to remember these teachings that have came, or maybe something comes up, or I'm in an emotional state, right? I'm in an emotional state, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling struggling, and I use my memory to reach back to something that can help me today. You know, I'm thinking right now of a friend of mine who passed away, and the whole way that it happened, I was with him when I took him to the hospital, and, you know, then he passed away, and I watched this man. He was another elder of mine, and he prepared for his passing for about 6 months before it happened, and he had no physical health problems, but he knew that it was coming. And there's many powerful things in that, and still today, remembering how that whole thing played out, and all of the, you know, the way that his death, but leading up to his death, all played out, had spiritual meaning, and it still applies today. So I use my memory to pull back from things, you know what I mean? So memory, thought, comprehension, we use those things. Other thing about memory is that, you know, there's this idea that our souls know things, and we're born into this world, and then when we're young and we're small and we're vulnerable and we're so receptive to learning the things of this world that we forget the things of the other world. And so when we go into these lodges and these things, these profound teachings, these things just show up in our heart that seem like a new insight, and we have no recollection of someone sharing that with us or something like that. It's like our soul already knew that, but to bring it into this light, to a place where I could think about it and comprehend it, is new. And so sometimes I would say in a sweat lodge or in a ceremony that we're learning to remember. We're remembering things that we once knew inside of ourselves and our soul. You know, I don't want to get into past lives or whatever different people believe about that stuff, but somehow our soul knows. You know, we're connected to all things. We're connected to all of each other. We're connected to our ancestors. There's all these ways that we might have DNA memory of things, right? And so we could go down a whole wormhole with that. But so thought, comprehension, memory, intuition. And so here we are, where spirit talks to us all the time, Again, nobody's entitled to adopt my belief system, you know, take or leave what you may, you know, but all the time. And sometimes I hear it so clearly, sometimes I don't. And I don't think that means spirit's talking to me more than other times necessarily. Through everything, through the wind, through nature, through each other, you know, through our dreams, all these things. And the only difference is my ability to listen is stronger sometimes than others. And a lot of that has to do with being a human being, having all of the things, you know, all of the emotions, having our fear and our stresses and our grief and all of these things, and our busyness and our have-tos and all that our mind is so full and so busy that the ability to listen, to hear spirit talking to us in the myriad of ways that spirit does, is more difficult. Our intuition is a huge part of that. If we're too much into here, we will find a way to justify that none of it is spirit, because there's a way to disprove it. And some people's brains work that way. That's okay. I have been, the artist brain, right? The guy that lives from inspiration and intuition and those things. So I actually struggle with the latter, with the logical concepts of things, and really being able to break things down in a logical format. That's not my gift, right? I just kind of go with the flow and feel what I feel and let that lead me typically. But it is important when we're talking about talking with spirit that we are able to use our intuition. Intuition, that feels like something. That feels like something. Or, well, maybe I'm not supposed to go on that trip. Maybe I'm not supposed to go on that trip. And maybe that steers us in a different direction, that provides us with, something new, something magical. But again, with just using our intuition to help us, again, they're all connected, comprehend what it is that happened, because as we're comprehending something, there's nobody out there that can give us the answer to what our dream said, or to what this meant when this flew by or walked by or whatever. We can only feel that inside of ourselves, whether that's truth or not truth. And that's a practice. And especially if you function from here, say 95% of the time, to trust your intuition might not come as easily as it comes to others. I hope that makes sense. And so that's a great practice, trusting our intuition, and feeling the yes. Oh, does that mean that? I just actually did a ceremony of fast, and we call that a vision quest, for lack of a better word. We call it many things, but that's the most common term. And went out there and fasted and was by myself for quite a bit of time, and I had some really powerful dreams. And I had to use all these things that I'm talking about to break it down. And the only thing that makes that the truth for me is this right here. Does that feel right? Yeah, it feels right. That feels absolutely right. Maybe not. Maybe I have to ask more questions, you know what I mean? But let that intuition help you with interpreting or knowing in your heart, if that's truth, the things that you're comprehending and the thoughts that you're having and all of that. Lastly, imagination. This one is huge for me, because when we use the word imagination, then we get into this idea that it's either real or it's imaginary, and that there is no in between. It's very black and white, imagination, intuition. And so it reminds me of another thing that Max has said many times, our grandpa Max Musham, that he would say, if the Great Spirit showed itself to us, half of us would die of fright. The other half of us would take our own lives to be with him or her. And so I guess what that means is that there's a part of the spirit world that is supposed to be a mystery. That's where that term, the great mystery, comes from. Kichimani-tu, that's the Ojibwe term for the great spirit or the great mystery. And so we use things like in the Native American, practices, we use animals as symbols to interpret things of the spirit world. In Buddhism, they use different deities and different symbols and different things to interpret different meanings and concepts and things to focus on from the spirit world. In Hinduism, there's so many deities, Ganesha and, Krishna and all of the different deities that are different aspects of the Great Spirit. And when we talk about animals in the Native American spirituality and say I have a dream, or call it a vision, or an experience, and I see say a buffalo in my dream, or that shows up for me, I'm not the type of person that would refer to animal speak or something like some book to interpret what that is, because that means that, again, I'm not using my intuition to interpret what that is. I'm using somebody else's intuition or research or wherever that they come up with these concepts, which oftentimes are pulling from things from around the world, to receive that interpretation. Sometimes those things resonate with me. Sometimes the thing I see has a completely different meaning, and that it's for me to discover. And so the imagination, the ability to see things, and again, using your interpretation. Like, so if this is just an example, but if I were to say, oh, the buffalo spirit came to me in a dream or came to me in a vision, would that mean that I actually think that that was an actual buffalo that perhaps died in the plains, that perhaps came in a real way to like talk to me? An actual spirit, let's say, or what people think of as a ghost, I suppose. Well, my understanding of what spirit is, again, it's the great mystery. It's unfathomable, right? We use things from our imagination to be able to interpret things that come from the unseen places, come from the unseen world, the spirit world, or from God, however that you interpret that. Sometimes it could be just our higher self trying to talk to us, however that you interpret that, our imagination. We don't have to question whether that was real or not real. That's not the point. These things that come, whether, again, it's just in my mind, in a daydream, in a sweat lodge, in a ceremony, in a sleeping dream, wherever it comes, I'm not spending too much time trying to decide whether it's real or not. It's okay if my mind created it. But then there's the thought of, why did my mind create that? Why did my mind create that? It's bringing me something. And that's the way of spirit, or maybe even my own soul trying to help myself heal. Everybody can interpret it how they wish, but don't overthink it. Use your imagination. If you're having an experience and you see something, don't default to, oh, that's just my mind playing tricks on, oh, that's just me spacing out, oh, that's just whatever. That's perhaps your imagination. Maybe that's your inner conscience talking to you. Maybe that's the spirits talking to you through your imagination. And these things could be very tangible in this world. They could be from another world. They could be very colorful and vibrant. They could be so many things. So I think that I'll leave it there. That should give you a little bit of taste of what I think that our Grandpa Max meant by those 5 things to keep in mind when we're trying to listen to spirit, right? Thought, memory, comprehension, intuition, imagination. I hope that some of this might resonate with you and make some sense with you. Aside from that, I'll just play some music and have you maybe think about these things while I play a little song for you. I have this low C flute looped with a drone, and I'll play this high C flute with it. Think about, maybe you can have yourself a daydream. Maybe you can use these things, your imagination a little bit, to go somewhere, and then use your thought and your comprehension to make some understanding of it. Maybe you'll go back into a memory with some music that you hear sometime, and be able to remember something that might might not be in your present heart in the moment. Anyway, be well, be healthy, be happy, and I'll play some music. Have yourselves a great day.